Welcome to Willowbrook Hollow, where nature and creativity come together to inspire the heart. Tonight's relaxing bedtime story follows Lily Cottontail, a young artist with big dreams of capturing a perfect portrait, until the unexpected turns her plans into something even more magical. Snuggle in, take a deep breath, and let this gentle bedtime story soothe your mind as we discover how a rainy day can turn mistakes into masterpieces. This is Lily and the Rain Painted Portraits. The morning sun bathed Sunflower Meadow in a golden light, casting a warm glow over the rolling hills and swaying blooms. The sweet scent of fresh blooms drifted through the breeze, mixing with the crisp earthiness of the damp morning grass. It was the perfect day for painting. Lily Cottontail bounded into the meadow, a woven basket looped over her arm, brimming with thick parchment, delicate paintbrushes, and pots of handmade paint, carefully prepared with crushed berries, flower petals, and rich pigments she had mixed herself the day before. She made soft blues from crushed blueberries, golden yellows from marigold petals, and deep reds from ripe raspberries. Today, she would paint a perfect portrait of her twin sisters, Daisy and Dandelion, in the middle of the beautiful field. "Hold still," she called to the two little rabbits fidgeting. Daisy giggled, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, while Dandelion tried and failed to stifle a bouncing motion, eager to move. "We are holding still," Dandelion insisted, swishing her tail. Lily sighed dramatically, tapping her brush against her chin. "No, you're wiggling. Portraits need patience. I want to capture the two of you perfectly, standing in the meadow with sunflowers behind you, like a painting come to life." Nearby, Oliver Swiftstream, a clever young fox, sat under a towering sunflower, stringing together a set of flower chimes. He weaved delicate reeds through golden petals and hollowed out seed pods, occasionally humming a tune under his breath. He looked up from his work, his sharp eyes twinkling with amusement. "Maybe they aren't meant to be painted standing still," Oliver teased, giving the flower chimes a light tap so that they jingled softly, though very out of tune. Lily shot him a look, ears twitching. "That's not how portraits work, Oliver." He shrugged. "Maybe not, but they sure don't look like they want to stand still." Daisy and Dandelion grinned, nodding enthusiastically. Lily huffed, but couldn't help smiling. "Just one more try," she said, dipping her brush into a jar of golden paint and lifting it towards the parchment. And that's when the first raindrop fell. It landed plop right onto her page, smearing the golden strokes of Daisy's fur. Lily blinked up at the sky, just as another drop landed on her nose. Dandelion squealed as a light drizzle swept across the meadow, sending tiny ripples through the grass. Oliver tucked his chime under his arm just as the rain began to fall faster, and ran for shelter under a nearby sunflower. "Oh no, my painting!" Lily gasped. Shielding her parchment with her paws, the colors blurred and ran, streaking down the page like melting candle wax. The twins, on the other hand, had already abandoned their poses. Laughing, they leaped into the air, letting the rain soak their fur as they spun in delighted circles. Lily called, scrambling to gather her things before they could be ruined completely. But Daisy was already kicking up a puddle with her feet, watching as the muddy water swirled with the leftover colors that spilled from Lily's paints. Oliver chuckled from under his sunflower, a mischievous glint in his eyes. He flicked his tail playfully and smirked. Well, looks like your paintings are moving now. Lily glared at him, then looked down at her ruined parchment. Her beautiful outlines were gone, replaced by smeared colors and muddy streaks. The careful brushstrokes she had spent all morning perfecting had blurred into an unrecognizable mess. The vibrant golden hues meant to capture Daisy's fur now melted into a once bright blue sky, and the delicate green of the meadow had turned into nothing but a muddy swirl. Her perfect painting had been completely ruined. She felt the sting of tears behind her eyes. Then, just as she was about to crumble up the wet parchment, something caught her eye. The puddles. The rain had mixed the paint with the mud and water, creating swirls of pink, blue, yellow, and green that shimmered like a liquid rainbow. The colors seemed to come alive, rippling and swirling with each tiny movement. Daisy and Dandelion's laughter rang out as they danced through the puddles, their joyful energy sending splashes of painted water flying through the air like tiny fireworks. Each footprint they left behind was a burst of unexpected beauty, a kaleidoscope of color imprinted onto the soaked parchment. The patterns formed something beyond mere smudges. They told a story, one written in streaks of vibrant chaos and playful motion, as though the very rain itself had decided to join in their game. Lily hesitated. Then, very slowly, a smile spread across her face. She dipped her paw into a jar of leftover red paint, flicked it into the puddle. The color burst outwards into a bright splash, mixing with the golden yellow and deep blue already swirling in the water. If you're going to dance, Lily said, let's make it beautiful. Daisy and Dandelion giggled with delight as they stomped, twirled, and kicked up droplets of color, their feet moving in a graceful, playful rhythm like dancers in a grand performance. The splashes hit the parchment with soft, rhythmic plops, each burst of color blending seamlessly with the next. The rain mixed with the paint, turning the meadow into a breathtaking ballet of movement, artistry, each drop a stroke of nature's own paintbrush. As they moved, the puddles became swirling palettes, sending splashes of vibrant color into the air like shimmering sparks of light. It was as if the storm itself had joined their dance, its steady patter on the earth keeping time with their joyful motions. The storm had turned their painting into something new, something alive, something magical, something that could never be repeated exactly the same way again. Lily grinned and grabbed a few broad leaves, pressing them onto the parchment to create delicate imprints in the swirling pattern. That might be the most fun painting I've ever seen, Oliver called from where he'd taken shelter under a massive sunflower. Lily laughed for the first time all afternoon. It's not a painting, she said. It's a dance. As the rain slowed to a mist, she gathered up the soaked parchment sheets, now covered in wild splashes, textured streaks, and flower-pressed patterns. At first glance, they were just abstract shapes and colors, but to Lily, they told a story. In one streak of deep blue and golden yellow, she saw a sun-drenched meadow where Daisy twirled beneath the sky, her laughter carried by the wind. In another splash of pink and green, she imagined Dandelion leaping high, her paws sending ripples of color through the puddles like bursts of joy. A long arc of crimson reminded her of the moment rain spattered across Oliver's chimes, the vibrant streak forming the sound of music and motion. Each patch of color was more than a random smear. It was a memory, a piece of the dance, a fragment of the magic they had made together in the storm. Back at the thistle and tea, she spread them out to dry, then took up her pencil. With careful strokes, she outlined the forms of her sisters within the colorful chaos. Daisy mid-swirl, her arms flung wide, and Dandelion mid-leap, her paws kicking up droplets of paint. Even Oliver was there, bent over his flower chimes, the vibrant streaks forming the motion of petals caught in the wind. Each piece was alive with color, movement, and memory, far better than the still portrait she had planned. When Daisy and Dandelion saw the final paintings, their eyes grew wide with wonder. "It's like we're still dancing," Daisy whispered. Lily nodded, hugging her finished pieces closely. "Because you are." Later that evening, a sun pitter-pattered softly against the windows of the Thistle and Tea. The warm glow of lanterns cast flickering light across the cozy interior. The air was rich with the scent of honeyed chamomile and freshly baked scones, wrapping the room in a comforting embrace. Soft cushions lined the wooden benches, and the gentle murmur of patrons filled the space with an easy tranquility. The colorful portraits hung proudly on the walls, a reminder of their day in the storm. Oliver glanced at them as he sipped his tea. "Guess I was right," he said, winking. "Movement does make better paintings." Lily grinned. "Maybe. But I think I like the Rain style best." As the warm glow of lanterns flickered inside, the rain faded into a gentle mist outside. Lily felt a quiet happiness settle over her heart. What had seemed like a disaster had become something far more beautiful than she ever expected. As Lily sat by the fire, sipping a warm cup of chamomile tea, she thought about everything she had learned that day. She had started with a plan, but sometimes the best moments come from unexpected surprises. She realized that mistakes could turn into masterpieces, that creativity could flourish even in the rain, and that the best portraits weren't always the ones that stood still. They were the ones that danced. She reflected on her own frustration. She reflected on how frustration had almost kept her from seeing the beauty in the unexpected. If she had given up, she never would have discovered the magic of rain-painted art or the joy of turning movement into color. She learned that letting go of control could open doors to new and wonderful possibilities. She smiled, watching her sister still giggling over the rain-painted adventure. Daisy and Dandelion twirled once more, reliving the fun, while Oliver's flower chimes jingled softly in the corner, a gentle reminder that creativity can bloom anywhere, even in a storm. Lily took another sip of tea, warmth spreading through her. She knew she would always cherish this day, not just for the paintings, but for the lesson that had been left behind. The moral of the story? Every challenge has a silver lining if we look for it. Thank you for joining us on this calming bedtime journey. Sometimes what seems like a mistake can become something very special if we open our hearts to the unexpected. What challenges have turned out to be happy accidents for you? May your dreams be filled with color, creativity, and the joy of discovering beauty in the unexpected. If you enjoyed this soothing bedtime story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps bring more peaceful nighttime tales to those who need them. Good night.